Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing fantastic and that you're all having a wonderful day. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already done so. What's the thing called? The YouTube analytics shows me that a very large amount of people every single day who watch my videos every 24 hours are not even subscribed. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Dare I say the words, it's game on, we're back on. Things are about to get a lot rosier than they've ever been. For some reason, and it's a nice feeling, the sentiment has definitely shifted once again within the cryptocurrency space, at least at the time of me making this video. A lot of people are of the mindset once again that over the course of February, I repeat, over the course of February, and of course into the future as well. But apparently February is going to be this moment where everything begins to go bananas. If February sounds familiar to you, not only is it the month, crazy right, but since the beginning of January, you might remember we kept on hearing about February and February and February and February and February. So February and March are meant to be the time frame for when a lot of this massive movement upward within the cryptocurrency space not only begins but is fully active. In very popular news today, widely followed analyst, his name is Plan B. Plan B is predicting more parabolic rallies for Bitcoin to higher price targets by the end of this year. Let me preface all of this by saying this is my opinion, prices now are extremely low. We should be a lot higher, and I will not say for the entirety of the market, but about a good 20 coins should be a lot higher than where they currently are, and a lot of the market is significantly undervalued. We've heard a while now, and I mean when I say excited, it doesn't begin to describe. We heard since 2020 and 2021, these are years ago, exactly what would happen to the cryptocurrency market in 2025. And by golly, here we are. This year is meant to be monumental price-wise for the cryptocurrency market, extending deep into 2029, 2033, so on and so forth. With everything that's been happening, every analyst has once again announced that we are going to have parabolic rallies in this market consecutively over and over until we get to the end of this year. In a new strategy session, Plan B took a look at Bitcoin's monthly relative strength index, or the RSI. The RSI is typically used as a momentum indicator and also to suggest overbought or oversold conditions. You've been seeing that a lot. If people keep selling too much, we get news that Bitcoin is oversold. People sold too much of it, the price begins to rise on back up. And even a lot of times when we got overbought stuff, it's okay, sure, why not? Plan B notes that historically, at the peak of Bitcoin bull markets, Bitcoin goes through multiple months with the RSI above 80, characterized by the red dots on his chart, which we're going to go over, With the monthly RSI quickly approaching 80, and considering Bitcoin's average gains during periods where the indicator was at such levels, Plan B says that he's expecting, and I quote, an absolute minimum. He thinks that this is the most bearish possibility for Bitcoin this year. He expects an absolute minimum of $270,000 per Bitcoin this year, which is basically where about 25% of other analysts have put their top. There are a number of analysts, the wide range of them, for those of you who weren't here, are here we go, are expecting a Bitcoin price of anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million per coin by the end of this year. This is the constant news that we've heard of over and over again. Many of them have said $250,000. It was also the highest number that they were expecting. But this isn't a very popular price prediction for Bitcoin, as the majority is expecting over $500,000. I got a couple of sprinkles of 800,000, that being the significant number for Bitcoin to pass by the entire market cap of gold, as you might have remembered. He's saying Plan B usually tends to be one of the most bullish people within the market, saying lightly that by the year 2032, he's expecting a multi-million-dollar Bitcoin. We should easily, right now, based on the levels of accumulation, we should easily be over already $250,000 Bitcoin. However, I understand that rich people are trying to manipulate the market as much as they possibly can because they want those sweet, sweet Satoshis before Bitcoin continues to essentially multiply so high that they don't have as much as they could possibly get right now. He said, and I quote, "In fact, to be specific, I expect at least 3, possibly 4 or 5 months of red dots." I'll show you exactly what he means in a second. He's expecting 3, 4, or 5 months of red dots, which means an RSI of 80 and higher. Now, what's very interesting is if we look historically at these points where the RSI was 80 or higher, we'll see that the average return in those periods, the red dot areas, was 40% plus. So he's expecting multiple months of like 5 times, minimum 3, 5 times where each month will have a movement in price of over 40% over the course of this year. He said, so that means a 1 month of 40% means from today's 100,000 would be 140,000 in February. I repeat, this is why I said at the beginning of the video, it seems like everyone has their bullish caps back on. Everyone's talking about like big boy numbers now. For some reason, February is the time frame where everyone is announcing that we're going to see gigantic movements within this market. 40% from 100,000 would be 140,000 in February. And since I expect multiple months of red dots, at least 3 times 40% brings us from 100,000 to $270,000 per Bitcoin. So that's the absolute minimum Bitcoin price that I expect in 2025, 270,000 US dollars. For those of you looking and not looking at the screen, what makes this chart very popular is that it basically kind of loops over and over and over. And this is what people like. As crypto has not been around for a very long time, all that we have to go on is the past. This is even more so when we have been hearing over and over that it looks like as if cycles might be over. Plan B is also one of the people who thinks that cycles are intact, but may differ wildly as we get closer to a world where institutions are basically owning all of the Bitcoin. The way that it basically works, according to his chart, is that blue tends to be the lowest point. I know you can tell what a chart says, but understand I'm trying to show you the idea behind it. It becomes light blue into green. Got it. Light blue into green, light blue into green. By the time we hit yellow, which is where his chart currently is, into the light orange, it basically means the game is on. When we enter red, these are the red dots that he was talking about. Every time we've entered these dots, there's been significant price movements. And you can even see a lot of these lines are a lot closer together, a lot closer together, a lot closer together, indicating basically even from this line right here to right here, it signifies $10,000 to $1 million. He's expecting, as many other analysts are, Plan B has said multiple times he thinks that 500,000 is basically the number that we're going to hit. In the most bearish scenario, he now thinks that 270 is going to be like the absolute bottom of where we could actually go in price. When I was saying before, I'm very excited to see like where things go. It's mainly because like we've been going over this for so long. All these analysts said the exact same thing, and I'm kind of waiting to see like who was correct. Which analyst said a number and that ended up coming true, because whichever analyst gets this one on the nose, they are going to be extremely popular and people are going to be looking at them for a very long time for prices. But yeah, this appears to be another, and I mean, if we can be completely honest, a $270,000 Bitcoin basically means a $10,000 Ether, a $10, $11 XRP, $7, $8 Cardano at current market movements and things like that. So even then, but a lot of people are expecting a lot higher. $1 million, I said before, it seems believable, but the problem with a lot of this market is that a lot of the market does not react to like actual big news. So as I stated previously, we should be a lot higher in price. I think 270,000 would make a lot of sense, but I think 500,000's coming. We'll see. It's been a heck of a ride at the beginning of this year already, so let's see what actually ends up taking place. That's the Plan B, says an absolute minimum Bitcoin price of more than $250,000 this year. And if you look right here as well, he's expecting an average price, so during fluctuations, an average price of $500,000 between 2024 and 2028. And yeah, let's move on. Also, in the popular news, Ripple is back at it again. The expectations are that their stablecoin over the course of this year is going to make monstrous moves. A lot of people, I don't think many people have been impatient, which has been kind of nice. I think a lot of people who are into XRP or are into Ripple, I think they tend to read, and I say that lightly in that a lot of people tend to get their information from Ripple directly through Twitter, so there usually isn't some type of confusion as to what's actually taking place. They are minting their stablecoin every now and again, periodically, and they're doing a dramatically good job of it. It will probably take a couple of more months until we actually see widespread adoption, and also to have more interest not only in the coin, but also in investments for it as well. A lot of people probably have forgotten or don't remember the way that Tether and many other coins get started is that you have to start printing them slowly. It's based off of actual demand. If you were here back in 2017, 2018, there were many weeks where we would hear that $15 million worth of Tether were printed. $8 million was created this week. this week, $2.5 million, because it basically behind the scenes, there are a number of investors who join in. I don't know how many external investors Ripple has, but there are always usually for the other stablecoins outside investors who are like literally giving liquidity to the coin. And in exchange, they get a portion, I assume, of the fees that are actually happening on chain. And this is the way that it kind of ends up going. And this is why a lot of times you've seen when there's like extra liquidity needed, that you'll see that some days Tether is like minting another like $3 billion. It's because their investors are like, cool, let's get this going, because they know that those coins will be used on crypto exchanges and the investors will get paid from it as well. San Francisco-based blockchain company Ripple has minted an additional million RLUSD coins. According to data provided by the RL Tracker account earlier this month, the company also minted 2 million tokens on the 1st of February. As reported by You Today, Ripple's dollar peg stablecoin has surpassed 100 million in total market cap earlier in January. The milestone was recently high. What? Okay. By CEO Brad Garlinghouse, Jack McDonald, SVP of stablecoins at Ripple, recently stated that the stablecoin has gained amazing traction. I saw a couple of people in the very beginning. People assume that everything happens at once. That's not. It always, I know we don't want to wait. Believe me. Believe me. No one wants to wait. But it was actually impossible for Ripple to create large amounts of this coin on day one. They couldn't create 38 billion and go coin, go. It's always about slow traction. They announced a while ago that they're in discussions with a number of cryptocurrency exchanges to also get the stablecoin listed on there as well. I think they'll be successful, but I think there will be some challenges as we've gotten wind. If you missed it a couple of videos ago, Coinbase is kind of on this really weird crusade where they like winked and hinted that they might have to delist Tether because of certain rules and regulations. Coinbase is desperate to get their stablecoin to be number one. It's probably never going to happen without a massive amount of manipulation in some sort of way, as Tether is number one. But I assume that Ripple stablecoin will probably easily come in number 3 and number 4. And I assume so because of the amount of money that Ripple has and the backing that they have. It'll be number 3 or number 4 for a while, and could potentially also pass by Circle's coin, which I think would be a gigantic anger balloon. I think Coinbase would be angry if Ripple basically passed by them. Especially when it came to this stable coin. Yeah, tons of good news. Usually we'll start hearing more about this coin when it's probably around like $500 million worth of this coin is floating around. Once we get more information on the actual usage on crypto exchanges, on Binance, on if it gets listed on Coinbase, and then on Kraken and on Binance, it'll then take off. Yeah, that's the Ripple stablecoin news. And yeah, let's move on. This news didn't surprise me, and I mean, I'm shrugging as best I can because I think most of the world has kind of stopped caring. India has been in the cryptocurrency news space since around 2018, a solid 2018. The expectations back then were very similar to SEC Gary Gensler expectations. People assumed that there would be. Do you remember when Gary Gensler told us blatantly, right to our eyeballs, he was like, I'm not giving you crypto regulation. He said all of these companies know exactly what they're doing. I'll never forget that. He was such a terrible human being. Gary Gensler basically did not want to give crypto regulations for whatever reason. Maybe somebody was paying him behind the scenes. I assume somebody was paying him. I don't know for certain, but listen, no one is that ignorant and ridiculous over the course of multiple years without someone pulling their strings. India announced in 2018 that they would regulate cryptocurrencies and it would become legal. The problem is that India's economy isn't doing too hot like many other places. They have a growing population, but they only have so many jobs. And a lot of the jobs that are chosen that people actually want tend to be government jobs. Besides that, their unemployment rates are actually pretty high. And their economy as a whole only does well because of their large population. But as far as them becoming like an actual like world leader, there are a lot of hindrances in the way. Kind of similar. And once again, I'm not an economist. I'm simply going off of the news that we've been getting over the course of, I've been doing this channel since 2016. Understand that my brain is literally just full of this news, chock full of news. And this is where I get my information and everything from. Over the course of multiple years, there have been a number of countries who have had the chance to open up their borders to cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency regulations to be extremely favorable, to basically have money like pile into their borders. That was one of the problems, there's thousands of them, with Gary Gensler and regulation within the United States, is that there wasn't any. If people knew what they could do, which coins were securities, how much people had to pay for taxes, or if taxes had been lowered. That's why we see a lot of times we get like a lot of favorable news from a lot of countries that have like a 1% tax, a 4% tax, or even a 0% tax on crypto. It causes people to want to do business within your country. What a lot of people usually don't understand about 0% tax rate, especially people who tend to want higher tax rates, not knocking it. I understand, public services and things have to be paid for. But usually what ends up happening is there's a runoff from a lot of these people who making a lot of money in these countries. What ends up happening is that excess money that they have, they tend to do investments within that country. And that those other investments tend to have large amounts of taxes on them, i.e., if you're in Dubai, if you're in any other country that has a 0% income tax rate or something else, there tends to be a large number of people who are buying property within those countries. Those property, when you buy them, they have like a tax on them. That tax then is used to pay for the actual services, to build roads and to build schools. So like it's always this knock-on effect that happens to be there. However, the idea of foregoing or allowing people within your borders to choose something else when you know that your currency isn't doing too well is a very big no for a lot of world leaders. And this is why we've seen a lot of world leaders over the years saying no to crypto, banning crypto, or I think a couple of countries have announced that they, what's the word? Oh gosh, like they're only allowing certain crypto within their country because it's probably like what's owned by those leaders within those borders. And this is why it was also a gigantic red flag if you missed it a number of years ago, when we heard that all these crypto exchanges were like losing their licenses within India. And it's like, well, that's weird. Everyone else has gotten it together, but everyone is doing something wrong and illegal in India. No, there's no, like I said before, it makes zero sense. I don't even care for Coinbase that much. It makes zero sense for Coinbase, Kraken, Binance, Gemini, Xbit, Abit, all these other crazy cryptocurrency exchanges to do anything illegal in a country when they're worth billions of dollars. Why would you put your reputation on the line like that? It says India is tightening tax rules for cryptocurrency traders by introducing new penalties for unreported profits. They want you to basically announce that you've made money on it so that you can pay taxes on it. But the problem is that India still has not, as far as we've understood, as far as I've understood, as I am not in India and I go based off of crypto Indian news, there's no actual regulations within the country. And it appears because their current population, I believe, is 1.5 billion people. And a lot of people years ago within the cryptocurrency space were expecting that if India gave proper crypto regulation, we would see roughly around 10% of their population move into crypto. The issue is that that's 150 million people. That would cause 150 million people to move away from their local Indian rupee currency, get into crypto, make money as the market goes up. And then essentially, if you made money in crypto, you would tell your friend and they would tell their friend. And then before you know it, we would have 500 million people within India who owned crypto, who would no longer want to use the old system. And now you understand why, this is all in play. Under a new amendment in the Union Budget 2025 by the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, digital assets will fall under Section 15(8)(b) of the Income Tax Act. This means any undisclosed income from cryptocurrency may face strict tax assessments, similar to how cash, jewelry, and other valuables are taxed. You get taxed on jewelry? Like if you're holding, do you have to tell them if the value of it went up or down? I'm asking a real question. Like I don't understand. Okay. From the 1st of February, the government will apply these tax rules retroactively, meaning past crypto gains that were not reported could still be examined. The revised law also categorizes cryptocurrency as a virtual digital asset, or VDA. A section of the amendment states crypto assets have been defined in Section 247A of the Act under... That sounds dystopian. Crypto assets have been defined in Section 247A of the Act under the existing definition of the virtual digital asset, a reporting entity as may be prescribed under... There's too many... The point is, they're doing what they're doing because they're trying to maintain the integrity of their local currency. And I completely understand it. I mean, I'm not printing my own currency, but you understand, like, these countries really don't know what else to do. And that's also for those of you who missed it. That's the significance of countries mining and buying Bitcoin. It's literally this idea that they're foregoing the thing that they already have or are supposed to be, keeping strong and steady in some sort of way. I mean, cool, sure, why not? A lot of countries over the years have already been experiencing a large amount of brain drain. Brain drain is basically, let's say there's 3 countries, country A, B, and C, and each of them has 100 people in that country. For some reason, country A will not get with it. They won't release rules and laws and so. They don't have high wages and people just don't, things aren't looking too hot. Country B is okay, but country C is like, whoa, you guys are doing really well. So the brains in that country get drained and they move somewhere else. And then eventually what happens is if you have enough brain drain, your country starts doing bad. So, yeah, the next 30 or so years are going to be very interesting. I said that before years ago as well, as far as like who wins and who loses. If Bitcoin wins and Bitcoin takes off and Bitcoin in 30 years is worth $87 million, the countries who adopted it earlier, they've won. They're going to be the strongest and richest, and no one will be able to compete with them because of how finite Bitcoin is. But a lot of other countries have had very unfavorable laws over the years. Hold on, stay right there. I'm going to check my phone because I want to know exactly what the number is. Crypto tax in France, because we've been talking about this for a while, is 30%. Okay. Right. Which was the country that had a tax? Oh gosh, there was some country like the tax was like 55%. And they announced they're recently smiling, and I was like, you really don't want people to do business in your borders. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We have no choice. Time moves forward. But I think a lot of really weird rules and regulations are kind of meant to make sure that people don't get into crypto. But, smartphones exist. And oh, no, actually, never mind. Ooh, no, never mind. Okay. I was going to say like people would be able to like find out about the trends and things that are going on. So like they would get into crypto anyway. But there are countries on the planet who periodically choose to, and because they can, cut and turn off the internet within their borders because they don't want their citizens to have access to information. Yeah, there's 5 off the top of my head. If you didn't know that, look into it. There are a number of places that actively, should something be happening, they make sure to shut off they literally shut off the internet for days so that people don't have access to information. So things are getting pretty dystopian. That's let's hope for the best news. I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. I would love nothing more than I'll be honest, a good $650,000 Bitcoin would move all of your altcoins up so ridiculously high. I want everyone to have a good Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I want you to have a good December. If you don't celebrate December, then gosh darn it, have a good end of the year. I want everyone to be really, really happy by the end of this year. So 270 sounds great. 650 just sounds a lot better. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.